Man, February was a really good month to be the Fither slash Flare Guy channel.
Dude, Fither, February, same difference really. February was fucking crazy. Like Honey Pop and then Persona 5 Strikers, and I know Rants came out for you.
Yeah, it was a really good month. And we got like an announcement for like Final Fantasy VII Remake, like extra episode featuring one of our favorite characters, Yuffie.
Who I will not be able to play as because I don't have a PS5.
And we both played through Persona 5 Strikers. I kind of rushed through it because I was trying to get to Rance Quest without regrets, but you took your time with it. Got to stew it over, and we're looking at the game, and this will be a spoiler zone. We'll just
full spoilers.
Yeah, this game took me by surprise because I was expecting it to just be another Hyrule Warriors affair, but it really wasn't that. It was full on, this is a sequel to Persona 5.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think when you think of a Warriors game, you do kind of expect just like a constant ongoing slaughter, but this game is way more similar to just like Persona translated into an action game than I was expecting, and I had a lot of fun with it.
I had big Kingdom Hearts energy going through.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got that over there.
A little bit, yeah.
Did you, I kept up with your video coverage of it, but I don't think you uploaded anything past, like, the first jail.
Yeah, I did not. I found, like, after a while, I wanted to kind of just, like, immerse myself in it. And after a while, I find that, like, those kinds of games, it becomes harder and harder to find stuff to, like, quip about, you know? Because you are kind of doing similar stuff over and over. A lot of the, like, comedy and kind of fun of it does come from, you know, the characters and discovering new things and whatever else. So after a while, I was kind of just like, maybe I'll just keep it to myself and kind of just enjoy the ride.
And it was a fun ride. It definitely felt worth the wait to me. And we waited a long time for this game.
We did. I was thinking about this like earlier when it was first revealed. I don't know if you remember this, but everybody was so sure this was Persona 5 Switch, because like P5S, the domain name, I think like showed up or whatever it was, and everybody was like, oh man, it's Persona 5 Switch. And then it was revealed that it was like a Muso game, and everybody lost their minds. That was so funny.
It being a Muso game is very funny to me, because like one of the things the domain thing is very funny to me, because imagine if like they released like Persona 4 Golden on PC and they had to register a whole new domain name. They would just update the site. But and it being a Muso game, that really set the mood for a lot of people. Like, I know that expectations for a lot of people going in was like down low, and this was something that we did not get much people talking about from like the people who spoke Japanese.
Yeah, like I managed to go through the entire thing not knowing basically anything about, you know, the characters or the story or basically anything that happens in Strikers.
The only thing I saw from Strikers is someone edited Akira Konoe, the Tony Stark looking guy. I saw someone edit one of his scenes to be Angry Joe. And that's the vibe I had going in for him.
Right.
That was my one expectation.
But yeah, it took a while. Like, I don't know how much of that was just the pandemic or Atlas just being very slow at localization, but it came out in Japan last year, and we just had to fucking wait and deal with it.
Wait, it only came out last year in Japan?
Yeah, it came out in February last year.
It felt like 2 years.
I mean, it was announced, like, basically 2 years ago.
Alright. I guess people just, like, had this hyperbole because, like, we didn't get news on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't showing up in Nintendo Directs, but we were having Nintendo Directs. We weren't seeing it in PlayStation Now. It just sort of showed up one day.
Yeah, at least for me, it kind of reached that point of just, like, you wait for it so long, you kind of put it in the back of your mind and stop, like, getting excited about it, and instead you're kind of just like, it'll come out, I guess. That's kind of how it was for me for a while. I think it was only in the last, like, few weeks of the lead up to it I started to get, like, excited about it again.
Let's talk about like, what's a lot of what's definitely going to be like the strong point for a lot of people on this, and that's the setup for the game, the road trip.
I thoroughly enjoyed the road trip setup.
It's such a good way to just have little vignettes with these characters and just have a good time with them without just going back to like the same places you've been before. Like Persona 4 spin-offs, they all take place in Inaba. Like you have the one that at the Love Live, but the rest of them you just go back to Inaba, you go back to the TV, and you see the same places again. And this lets you just see these characters in like new locales, and it really spices things up.
Yeah, like I had a slight fear in the first hour or so when you're in Alice's jail, because like you are in the same location in that, so that was kind of my worry. It's just like, oh, this is gonna be very like reusage of Persona 5 assets heavy, but like it isn't really when you get to new locations.
The first new location you go to didn't hit me until like the third jail that the like vibes of the road trip really set in for me. Because you do end up spending a lot of like most of the time you spend in these places is going to be inside of the jails, and they really lean into like the location the jail's based on in the later mid ones, because First one had a pretty good energy to it. The second one was a castle, and I was just because the dungeon before that had Kamoshida enemies in it. The second one being in a castle just felt like more of the same for me. But the road trip quickly like took over, and I was really digging it. I really like the requests that you get from your party members, and if you do them, you get like that payoff at the end.
Yeah, those are so much fun.
I was originally not planning to do them, but because I was so caught up in the game, I was like, well, I gotta.
Yeah, you can't not. Like, Yusuke wants to take that picture or draw that painting or whatever, and Makoto wants to destroy that watermelon. Like, are you really gonna say no?
Yeah, and like, when it's acknowledged at the end, it all comes together and it just puts a smile on your face. The one that stuck out to me was... One thing that stuck out to me was when you get little decorations for the RV. Like, that's such a satisfying reward, even though it doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah, it's just nice to have. It's like, oh yeah, I got that from doing the request for Ryuji or whatever.
Yeah, or the Sheisha stuff that I got from doing Yusuke's. It's very satisfying, and it really feels like you are having a fun vacation with the Phantom Thieves. It really makes you appreciate them. I do think that there was a point at the beginning of the game, like before I knew like just how much of a road trip this is going to be, where I was genuinely disappointed that I didn't get to see Takemi or Iwai, because you did that too, right?
I did. I was like, wait, Takemi shop closed? Oh no.
Yeah, but they really make it work, and Sophia's shop was a very precious thing to look at. It
was.
I would have appreciated little cameos, but focusing on the Phantom Thieves, I feel, was a really strong move.
Yeah, I think it's fine without him. Like, I feel like it would have been a little like weird to have fucking, I don't know, Kanji show up or whatever. It's like
Kanji from Persona 4 shows up.
Yeah, dude. Hey man, I love Osaka.
To be fair, there is the point in the game where you just go to Inaba, and Dojima's there, and he's looking for the man who ran over his wife in a hit and run.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how they had Dojima in the game, but just called him Zenkishi. I thought that was a weird kind of twist.
Yeah, I thought Nanako's character development was really sad. Oh. But that I joke, but I genuinely really like that segment.
I did too.
Let's move into like a lot of people. This is something I find contentious with a lot of people, whether or not they like the jails and the monarchs. Because a lot of people like who just look at Persona games by the main plot and not like the little character interactions. Like those people are the ones who I see complaining the most about this game and its writing.
Yeah.
Because if you just look at the road trip and the characters, you're going to have a really fun time, and that's when the game's writing shines the most. But the jails are very contentious because of some of the key differences it has between a jail and a palace.
Yeah.
Every jail in Persona 5 Strikers has a little tragic backstory to them, and they are a hit or miss. And then and these like motivations for them can really tank like the overall experience of it. Because most of the time I'm like, no, I don't want to put a stop to them, they're a victim. Why are we going after this person or this person who is the actual problem in this? Like Alice is a weird one because it is a like the idol industry in Japan is like famously fucked.
Yeah.
And having Alice be someone who is portrayed as the bad person for wanting to have control of how her producer treats her, I'm just glad. I'm happy for her. Don't suck those dicks, Alice.
Good for you. Good for you.
And the absolute worst one was Jail 3 for me.
Hyodo?
Sapporo.
Yeah, that's Hyodo.
Yeah, I hate. That was so awful. Like the backstory they gave to her was the most like. People complain about Persona 5 having some cartoony villains.
Yeah.
Those were the most cartoony villains.
They were pretty cartoony. I don't know. I think it's just like, it's a difference between a more sympathetic approach that almost kind of works and a comical, like, I am just evil approach that also kind of doesn't really work.
Yeah. But when it comes together and we're like dealing with like this sad woman who's just trying to keep people like not crushed by ice sculptures.
You evil bitch.
Well, we're trying to stop her from like, and she's working these people who are profiting off of the death of children to death. It seemed like the Phantom Thieves should have like been focusing elsewhere there.
Yeah, the priorities are a little backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's really too much they could do about it, because, like, the metaverse and, fucking, palaces of P5 aren't really around. So it's like, they don't really have a method by which to change these people's hearts.
Yeah, they can
they would have to resort to, like, physical methods and just beat them up or something.
I do think that those people deserve to be beaten up, but they don't get any punishment at all. Like at least the dad who beat his child got stabbed. That the fact that Jail 3's like palace boss form, like what did you expect going in?
Oh fuck, I don't know. I wasn't expecting her to be the Blob, that's for sure.
Yeah, we weren't like I was just expecting, she's gonna be like decrepit old Elsa. And she's gonna have her assist Spider-Man, and we're gonna fight that. But no, she just turned into a blob, and she was all like, I'm gonna eat all the delegates. Oh, I need to eat these votes. I'm so hungry for power and votes. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm going to eat dog.
I think part of the issue with it is that, like, they tried the exact same thing they did in Persona 5, where all the villains were, like, 7 deadly sins based, but they aren't, like, at all. A lot of their motivations and, like, their problem has nothing to do with, the sin they're supposed to be associated with. Like, Alice, I think, is lost, and, like, that makes sense. But then the longer you go, it's like, oh, fuck, what are these guys?
You have nothing to do with anything. And it was really, like, shoehorning in the 7 deadly sins was a big mistake, especially considering, like, the sins don't even come up in the final boss, so you don't get that payoff that you got in Persona 5.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, and now I take out my greed gun. I'm gonna shoot you with greed bullets. You don't get that, so they just bring in the sins for the sake of having some, like, a checklist to go through.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the atmosphere of the in-between jail that you go to after Jail 3, though.
Mm-hmm.
That spooky laboratory.
It's pretty spooky.
It was pretty spooky. Sophia's just a precious girl.
I like Sophia a lot.
Like, they really do a good job of making her a very endearing part of your journey. So that way, like, if you have to like say goodbye to her, she like gets all existential. Then you wanna support her. You wanna hug your phone. What happens in Dungeon 4, rather famously, Ryuji says fuck.
He does. They made a big deal about him saying fuck, too. It's the most dramatic fuck ever.
I wish Ryuji had more moments with Sophia beforehand, but they couldn't exactly have Joker say fuck. So I'm glad that he got to say it so that I say it for Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Ryuji and Morgana agreeing like fuck GLaDOS over here. It was very nice.
It was pretty good. I definitely enjoyed how everybody, I think except Futaba, I don't remember her really getting one, but everybody has like a hey fuck you antagonist kind of moment.
Yeah. Futaba doesn't really I would argue that Futaba's fuck you antagonist is less of a fuck you antagonist and more of a come on antagonist, where she is someone who can reach out to Akane in Jail 5.
Mm-hmm.
Jail 5 was great.
It was. I think that one might be my favorite.
I loved going back to Inaba, and while the teleport maze was a bit like stupid, I greatly enjoyed like that new party member feel is really great.
Yeah.
And Zenkichi is just an absolute shithouse of a character.
You get Zenkichi a lot later than I was expecting. I thought you would have him by like Jail 3.
That fucking stealth section with Zenkichi. And like you
really
do like the Phantom Sneak, but instead of like it being instant, he's like
he scoots.
It was great. I loved being able to play as the powerless boomer. The fight at the end of Jail 5 though, it gave me the most trouble. Like after Alice.
Yeah, that and like the final boss I think are two that gave me kind of some problems. I kind of wish you had fought like the whole like evil Phantom Thieves.
I would like to have a fight against the evil Phantom Thieves, but if they had you switch between each of the Phantom Thieves to fight their doppelganger, because that was what was happening there.
Yeah.
Sophia and Zenkichi, just headcanon here, they're protecting Futaba because like Cognitive Futaba knows Taekwondo and could just break Futaba over her knee, but actual Futaba is just like a smelly nerd. So she needs Sophia and Zenkichi to back her up from Cognitive Futaba. While I do like that palace's boss, like I called it a palace. I keep calling them palaces.
They're very
like,
similar. It's hard not to slip up and be like, oh, that's their palace. That's, you know.
Yeah, they do a lot to make them distinct, but I end up calling it palace a lot, sometimes deliberately. But like you can see that if you watch my like the VODs of the streams I did of it. But my absolute the game peaked it for me in the Jail 6 boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it opens with rivers in the desert, and then it gets to that new song.
Yeah, fucking Counter-Strike. I think that's my favorite song in the game.
Counter-Strike sounds amazing, and the boss fights associated with it is one of the best.
It's really good. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. It's a shame this is so clearly not the final boss.
It's such a not the final boss moment, because you're fighting a Kamen Rider, and there's no way that a video game could end with you like having a sick fight against a Kamen Rider. It's a Persona game. We need to fight like Izanagi's testicles.
Yeah, I was like, all right, we have not seen the god being, therefore it isn't over.
Yeah, and it's really disappointing that that's not where it ends.
Okay, explain this to me, because I still don't quite get this. What was Konoe trying to accomplish with the jails exactly?
Konoe's plan was, this is what I read off the Megami Tensei wiki after beating the game. Konoe's plan was to use the jails that he was giving to other people to turn them to like mentally turn them into another Konoe, and then they were going to like turn into a mental copy of him, And then their jail would just extend his own sphere of influence. And he was going to keep doing that until like he controlled all of Japan and all of the world. And he was going to use like he was going to use the legion that was him to eradicate all crime and make people watch Zephyr Man instead of Feather Man, because Zephyr Man's so much better than Feather Man. Like, it's no contest.
Yeah, definitely.
And he gets the sickest boss fight in the game with the sickest track. His jail has rail guns that you can interact with.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty rad jail. I like how he's got like all the different animals.
All the jails have like little things you can interact with. The best ones being the skateboards in Alice's jail and the railguns in Kanoe's jail.
Yeah.
Seeing railgun, and I'm like, excuse me? And then I get to fire it?
Man, I wish the game ended with Kanoe. Like, I didn't even really like Kanoe that much, because a lot of his scheme just didn't quite click with me. Like, the kind of thinking I had while playing it is, he's gonna use the jails to, like, get rid of people's trauma, because that was like a big thing about the jails, is that they're more like prisoners than anything.
Yeah.
And then that was gonna bring about world peace or whatever. But all the people who have jails are massive pieces of shit. So
not even. All the people who have jails are just like they became massive pieces of shit because they had jails.
Yeah.
Kanoe's backstory was one of the funniest scenes in the game, and it's not supposed to be that.
Yeah, he fucking stabs him, and everybody's like, "That's so sad." I was just like, "That's kind of funny."
It's so funny when the dad is choking an invisible child, and he just starts punching him, and you hear in the background, All Might's like, "I am here,
kill your dad,"
and you just hear this, and like, I don't know if it's just the dub. Like, if I was listening to the Japanese version, I wouldn't be able to understand how fucking silly All Might sounded there. So it would help a bit. But no, I just see the same, like, businessman model punching an invisible child and saying, "Yeah, I did that to my wife too."
Take that, child.
"I should kill you like I killed my wife." And you just watch that, and it's supposed to be very sad, but like there was no better way they could have framed that. Like, they couldn't have just done a POV shot where you are the child being beaten.
That would have worked a lot better, actually. Yeah. Then they wouldn't even have to have like made a child model.
You don't need to make a child model, much like you don't need to make a Sainijima model. You just have the child get, like, POV you're being punched, and then you can see in the background, like, you see the fan fees, and then you see beyond them, you see All Might, and he's like, "I am here," and it'd be so much better, but because it's an invisible child getting beaten like that one skeleton gif, you know the fucking skeleton gif, right?
I don't think I do.
Let me get for you the skeleton gif.
All right, cool.
So and he's just doing this animation.
Nice
but the baby's invisible, and you're just supposed to accept that. It was the freaking worst scene. It was one of the worst scenes in the game outside the introduction of the Jail 3 boss. But like when you get to the boss fight, like, all that shit stops mattering.
Yeah, because it's rad.
Yeah, they made a sick boss fight where things happen. And then you get to the last few, where you get to the god shit, and that starts to happen. Ichinose was the one tragic backstory that, like, actually felt earned and real. This might just be me. I have never heard how Japan handles, like, mental health and like any mental disabilities, in inability to properly emote or read emotions. I never hear how Japan handles that, and I can't imagine it's like particularly well. Like,
yeah,
America
I'd imagine not with the like corporate kind of culture that they have over there.
Yeah, like America, at least we acknowledge their existence, and like we try to like medicate. We try to medicate. We try to educate. I can't imagine it's good over there in Japan. And she is like clearly like suffering from something, and she's just internalized like though everything that she's had told to her, and it's the most earned sad backstory. The scene of her, the one silly part of it, and this is just like not silly, just like weirdly acted part, is when she's at her is the flashback where she's at her computer. It's like, hey Sophia, what do you want to learn today? What is love, Ichinose? And she just gets really...
She just deletes System 32 immediately.
Yeah. Back to the drawing board.
now to make the same thing, but evil.
Her wanting to delete emotions is a very law thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely a... This is the end of a Persona game. This is what... Here is a god thinking they know what people want. Except this time it's not a... I like the twist of it not actually being a god. They sort of abstract it a bit and have it be like a being that thinks it's a god. Like, remember when we did our like creepypastas and like internet mysteries as demons video? Remember when we had I Am God and it was just like the nostalgia critic thinking it was it was that. Yeah. It was that. And I thought that was pretty neat. It's a very funny visual all throughout, though. Like, the entire time, all I'm thinking is those political cartoons where kids are looking down at their phones.
Too many phones.
And it's like, oh, these kids today with their Pokemon Go. Why would they want a crummy old pail of water? They should have been trying to catch Pokemon creatures.
I cannot click the book, father.
It's a very funny visual, and then you get to its boss form, and it's just Yaldabaoth again.
Dude, when you get down into not mementos, and you know the part where you see the Ark of the Covenant, and it has all the Yaldabaoth, like, people's will veins or whatever going down it?
Yeah.
I felt my heart fucking sank at that. I was like, no way, they are not this unoriginal. This is just Yaldabaoth again.
It was just Yaldabaoth again. Ichinose helping, yeah, that's nice. I'm glad the characters, the people get complete arcs. This god shit needs to stop.
Yeah, like, I don't mind if, you know, whatever, oh, Kagetsuchi is a thing, or whatever new god shows up. But this is just Yaldabaoth. It's the same shit. Like, I think that bothers me more than anything. It's just the lack of, like, an original concept for this last bit of the game. Because that was something that, like, pretty much everybody didn't like, I think, is the Yaldabaoth stuff.
Yeah.
Like, him getting shot by Satin Isle and everything is cool, and it's epic, but did we need to do Yaldabaoth 2?
No one liked Yaldabaoth to the point where, like, Persona 4 Golden, when, like, you do Marie stuff, they put it before Izanami. Persona 5 Royal, all the new shit happens after Yaldabaoth, because they want to brush that shit under the rug there. And here you just have Yaldabaoth again, but this time it's funny because he's holding a giant smartphone over his head.
Too many phone.
The phone is so hilarious. If anyone watches the web show Armchair Devs, they have a video on like Silent Hill, and it's just a big shitpost about Black Mirror. And I was just thinking, look at iPhone head over here, holding up a big iPhone saying phone bad.
Do you think it really is like the game developers being like phone bad? Or do you think it's just like happenstance that we happen to be so like phone bad is funny? And so that's kind of what we see in it?
As much as I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, there's no way they are so stupid that they would say phone bad.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, I never really got the vibe of, like, phone or technology in particular bad. It was more of, like, an overarching kind of thing about, like, you know, control and just letting things make decisions for you and shit like that.
Yeah, like, that's the message. It's just that nowadays, like, the most simple way to visualize that is with people just listening to their phones and stuff.
Yeah.
So then you get the phone bad visual, and it just looks stupid. Like, they had such a good game going on, and, like, all the people are good. Having it end on, like, a Pokemon Go comic is stupid. So I think I hate Lavenza.
Yeah, okay, so this fascinated me. You just wrote, like, as one of our notes, I think I hate Lavenza. What's your problem with Lavenza?
Lavenza never calls just to talk. She never has a request where it's like, says, I see that you're traveling the world. I want to see the ramen bowls that they have here. She never has a request like that. She only ever calls to tell me you are in great danger, Trickster.
There's grave danger, Trickster. Also, new fusion method.
I cannot tell you anything further. Here is a new fusion method. She never has anything fun to say. She never wants to do anything fun. She just wants me to fuse Unicorn, and the fusion system in the game just isn't fun to mess around with.
Yeah, I did like 1 or 2 of those, and I only did those because I got the skill cards for the skills she wanted. But otherwise, I was like, nah, dog, I'll do these never.
Yeah, like, Lavenza was, like, a lot of people were very excited to see Lavenza. She is such a non-character. She only ever interrupts things when, like, you got a flow going on. And, like, I don't like fusing. I did 1 chain of fusions at the end to fuse and Arsene that had debilitate, because it's like, yeah, this'll win. This'll win the game.
Pretty cool, yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if like there's like something like super secret hidden or unused that makes Lavenza fun in that game, but what she's got going on just sucks. There's not even like a hidden Lavenza boss fight like you get with the twins, or like that would have been sick.
Yeah. Like
Lavenza's so strong, you can't even fight her in turn based. She needs to go all out. No, Lavenza just has nothing going on. I think I hate Lavenza. I'm sorry.
I've always been very kind of meh on Lavenza, because like, at least to me, she's always felt like just Justine without the Caroline component to like kind of bounce off of her. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, I just find her kind of uninteresting a lot of the time.
Combined with the fact that like nothing is going on in the Velvet Room.
Yeah, Igor's not even there at all.
Yeah.
So there can't even be like Igor Lavenza comedy.
Yeah. I don't know what Igor Lavenza comedy looks like. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't talk... I don't think she talks about her sisters, either.
Nope.
Also, there's that really the really stupid thing she says at the beginning of the game. Is like, you'll fight stronger challenges than you have before. And, like, the first thing that proves to be an obstacle for the Phantom Thieves is, like, Alice's goons throwing a net at you.
Some strong challenges.
Have you ever seen, you know, Spoonie's review of, like, the last Ultima game?
Yeah.
Your knowledge of the land shall be great.
Why can I see her saying that now?
I wanted Lavenza to do so much more in that game, but she just gets shafted hard, and the Velvet Room as a whole just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And you're in a jail again. Like I've done my time. I want to be in, like, just recolor the RV.
RV Velvet Room. That'd be kind of sick. Oh, dude, imagine the fucking Velvet Room and this was like a campsite or something, and Lavenza was just like by a bonfire. That would have been kind of cool.
Lavenza by a bonfire, and like at some point you see her like roasting marshmallows.
Yeah, cooking hot dogs.
She looks at you with a smile. Hello, Trickster.
Would you like a s'more?
And she tells, like, you can talk to her, and she tells you about her campfire song, and it's the oh velvet, my master has a long nose. Stuff like that. I would have appreciated it.
Yeah.
Instead we're back in jail, and we're back behind bars. This is something that Meti pointed out during my streams. That he has a theory that Persona 5 Royals and Persona 5 Strikers were given the same outline. Like, you know how Akira Toriyama gave Toei and Toyotaro the same, like, this is what these are the things you need to include in the Tournament of Power, or the Goku Black Arc, and then you end up with 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
He believes that's what happened with Persona 5 Royals and Persona 5 Strikers.
Okay.
We can bring him in here to elaborate if you want.
Sure. It's a surprise appearance.
All right, we're going to talk about that Persona 5 Royal Strikers connection. Like take some time to like organize your thoughts.
Okay.
I'll really alphabetize them.
The timeline shenanigans gets weird. I think the cog which changes which Persona 5 you enter is Goro.
Oh, we haven't talked about Goro either.
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're playing Strikers. They didn't talk about Goro either.
That's no excuse.
It's Goro Kechi. You expect him to be brought up once. You expect, like, when we're staring down Konoe, like, Joker looks at him and sees, and with his conviction, he sees the same glow that he saw when he looked in Goro Kechi's eyes. And then he gives him a kiss. Because he's thinking of Goro. All right, we called in our assist, Meti, not the bad guy.
That's right.
Hello.
All right, so why do you think that like these were given the same outline?
Because watching the story of Strikers play out, I saw a lot of similarities in how they were approaching the new. I mean, technically all of Strikers is new content, but every now and then I would see Strikers gameplay and their plot points, and I would think too when I was playing through Royals, and I felt like there might have been an overall outline given to both teams because they were worked on at the same time or roughly around the same time. And there's just a couple coincidences maybe. I think it might have been intentional that I noticed. Specifically, you get to Kasumi and Sophia, which, when you look at them, they both have not only a similar skill set, where they're both light-focused Persona users who use light spells, and I have to double-check Kasumi's spell list to know if she has the exact same stuff as Sophia's, because I haven't actually compared their spell list, because I don't really look at the spell lists in Strikers, because I hit the button and it do the combo.
Yeah, they really go in there.
But they have a very similar, at least, aesthetic to them.
Kasumi gets physical skills that Sophia does not, but they both get light and heal stuff.
Yeah, which I assume the reason Kasumi gets the physical skills is mostly because of they're clearly a different type of character, and also I don't know why you would give Sophia physical skills when when it plays differently. I felt like a lot of the physical skills you were given in Strikers looked like they didn't matter all that much. So that might have played into it, where like a physical skill in regular Persona 5 or Royals, that is a specific form of attack in your turn base, in your turn economy.
So continues the story of Persona 5. This bullet point raises an eyebrow for me.
Well, Persona 5 Royals specifically has a segment in the game. That's what it was sold as, like, this is Persona 5 with added content and will give you a next semester. Like, that was something they made sure to put in the marketing, where Strikers is a direct continuation. In fact, I believe Strikers was marketed as Persona 5 2, and then the 2 gets knocked away by the S. So I feel like they were both designed to be the next part of Persona 5. In fact, a lot of Persona 5 kind of gets fixed in Royals, and it makes it a better experience, and ultimately you get more out of Persona 5 if you play Persona 5 Royals, making it a continuation of Persona 5 as like a concept, as if like Golden was good, or how I treat some of the portable content.
And last point here, new cognitive science character with a connection to the redhead.
Yeah.
This is a strong one for me.
Yeah, like, that was one thing I didn't mention about Kasumi and Sophia, is that, like, obviously, they have a similar design aesthetic where they are both this new red-headed female character that technically Sophia is handled way better because they actually give you Sophia, like, right at the beginning of the game, but you also meet Kasumi very early on, but you don't get Kasumi until, like, literally the last half of the last dungeon of the fucking end of the new content, and it's kind of frustrating, but they both had a redhead aesthetic to it to match with the main color of the game, because Persona 5 is red, so you have the new redheaded girl. Kind of like No, never mind. Marie didn't really have any yellow on her, did she? She was just kind of all blue.
Metis was blue.
Metis was blue, yeah, that's true. But yeah, these two obviously feel like they are the Persona 5 character, the new Persona 5 girl. Like, if they put either of them in, like, the other games, it probably wouldn't have worked as well. I mean, for besides the obvious. But the new character they added, I forget her name.
Ichinose?
Yeah, Ichinose. Ichinose felt so much like Maruki off the bat, with her polite demeanor, where she was very cheery and happy, though she also definitely had a little bit of Goro mixed in there as well. So I feel like they might have actually been making her to be more like Goro, but the key visual design, where you have like brown hair, white lab coat, she clearly has understanding of cognitive science. The same thing is true with Maruki, where he was brown hair, white lab coat, clear understanding of psychology, or at least Jungian psychology, and turns out later he understands a bit about cognitive science. And they both get sort of tempted by this creation, or by part of themselves, with Ichinose. Say her name again?
Ichinose.
Ichinose, the AI she created, sort of tempted her down the path that she went down, where Maruki, during the end of Persona 5, finally sees, like, gets the thoughts from Persona, or gets his persona kind of awakened, and that allows him to go on and then take over a palace that was left kind of empty, which was kind of weird. And then ultimately, they both sort of created a new god, kind of, where Ichinose was more of a rehash of Persona 5, where Maruki became his own thing. He kind of, like, hijacked God and, like, fucking, like, trying to start up a car. Like, just took the wiring from everyone's minds and put it into one place, which I thought was really cool. And I felt like those two were designed to sort of, like, as if Atlas came to the development teams like, you need to have a character like this.
You think they brought the same script with them to the fucking Koei Tecmo office? Like, the Royal script? They were like, make this. And they realized oh fuck, wait, that's our Royal script.
Oh fuck, wait, where's the Striker script? We shredded it. Oh. Well, give this to the Royals team and just tell them that they need to work on that.
What do we have left from the Strikers script? We just have phone.
Well, that's the main idea. Phone bad. Welcome to Black Mirror.
All right. Thanks for the assist.
Yeah, thank you,
no
Dr.
problem.
Meti.
I think it's a very interesting look at like Persona 5 Strikers, because they were developed around the same time. They have to have been, right?
I believe that's something true. Like, Royals and Strikers were. Well, I think wasn't Strikers announced first?
I believe they were announced around the same time.
Yeah. So I believe that obviously they kind of oppose each other canon-wise.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious how Atlas is going to handle that, if Atlas is just going to go with a Persona 5 Strikers Royal, which, if that happens, fuck, man. I don't know, like, that'll be a PR nightmare. I'll say that much. Because they will charge $50 for it, and it will have, like, one new zone.
I hope whoever made that game got fired for that one. And I hope whoever made that game gets to introduce Lavenza as a boss fight, and also, like, completely change her role in the story.
Oh my god, Lavenza's so bad in Strikers. Like, if one thing that got lost in that pitch meeting of exchanging of notes, it's what the fuck to do with Lavenza. Because Strikers drops the ball, where Royals kind of at least did something with her. She felt like I enjoyed talking to her. I don't know why Igor was gone too.
Igor's on vacation too. He's going on his own road trip with Margaret.
But yeah, the key difference I see with them, though, is where Royals feels like it's Persona 5 retold and better, and improved and added on. I feel like Strikers is them looking at what they wanted, or at least someone looking at what they wanted for Persona 5, and then finally being able to realize it. Because I remember in the pitching for Persona 5, it wanted to be like a road trip story.
Yeah, that was like one of the original concepts for it. But then I think like it was one of the fucking earthquakes or tsunamis or whatever that happened in Japan all the time that made them like want to make it a game more focused on like just Japan.
And so with this road trip around all of Japan, it really felt like it was capturing that original idea while staying on the Persona 5 brand, and them retooling palaces as much as I have a critique about jails. Them kind of changing up how things work was nice, because as for everything Royals did, it didn't really touch that too much. It kind of kept like palaces were palaces, and they didn't invent like a whole new term. They added an extra layer to Mementos though, which was cool.
That's the Dragon Ball Super theory.
That's the game theory.
Oh yeah, that's my big brain theory. And obviously Igor and Jose are chilling it together. That's where he is. They're in the Persona 6 timeline. But don't ask questions about Persona 6 just yet.
All right. Last thing on the notes here. You felt the game fell off at after Akane's jail.
Yeah, I think after Akane and when like Konoe started to kind of take center stage is when I started to feel the strongest like repeat of Persona 5 vibes. Do you remember the politician man who ends up in the grand scheme of things not being that important?
He is important to Zenkichi's storyline, but is otherwise just a big scary politician man who's fat and doesn't matter.
I was deathly afraid of that guy being the big bad. I was so scared that the bad guy of this would just be Shido, but with hair and fatter.
I remember during the playthrough you were doing, we were making a joke about him doing wheelies on all the moms in Persona.
The fact that they managed to tie this politician man into the death of Zenkichi's wife is...
I'm gonna double down. He hit fucking Nanako's mom. That's how he ascended to the political ladder. One mom per branch of government.
There was definitely a fear of Persona 5 repeated, but I think that ultimately I don't get the fear of like a Persona game repeating itself, because it's ultimately about the characters and their interactions. And when I got past Akane's jail, all I was thinking about was, I got Zenkichi now. And he moves like Dante from the Devil May Cry series, and he acts like a boomer dad.
As someone who only experienced the story of Strikers, I felt a big step up from Akane's dungeon on. At least I felt more connected to what was going on, because the previous, 3 dungeons before that?
Mm-hmm.
Those were unbearable at times.
See, I find that interesting. It seems like half of the people I talk to are like, I really enjoyed the first half, but not the second. And then half of people are like, I didn't like the first half, but I did like the second.
The first dungeon was fine. The second dungeon was eye-rolling. The third dungeon was awful.
The third dungeon was great. And then the boss happened.
I think the third dungeon, I thought the story leading up to it, I think when she was, before the boss happened, she was getting to the point where I was like, this is good. And then the boss happened, and we made fun of it the whole fucking time. Because it's the worst thing that Persona 5 has ever done. And then from that point on, Persona 4 happened. That was nice. Then we fought Kamen Rider, and that was fucking cool. Like, the coolest thing.
And then we fought Yaldabaoth too, and that was bad, but like, at least he was slightly cooler than Yaldabaoth. Like, he's hip. He's tweeting memes on his
Dude, I don't know. I
smartphone.
like Yaldabaoth more, because he pulled out a fucking gun at one point. That was awesome.
True.
But
I like Yaldabaoth 2 a little bit more, because it felt like all of the Phantom Thieves did something to defeat him, versus Joker, who summoned bigger gun in one.
Yeah, like that. Like, the Phantom Thieves all pitching in to do an attack was really cool.
That was cool, yeah.
The party split. I love a good party split in an RPG. Like, Bizarro Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII or Kefka's Tower in Final Fantasy VI. are some of the rawest moments in the Final Fantasy series. And I'm glad we got that kind of moment here, even if it was just for a short phase of a boss fight that I ultimately solved by having on just machine gun down parts of the Sephiroth.
But I think what made that the coolest was the fact that how it was set up and how it played out. It was all technically happening at the exact same time, and I think that's just like the coolest shit ever.
Even if it was story-wise, just kind of like, even if it was story-wise kind of mid at points, the gameplay in Persona 5 Strikers is just such a fun, puts a smile on your face kind of action that like you go with it, because you're firing a railgun at a giant robot, and you got a gun. You're Haru. Well, if you want more of me and Meti talking about this game, I have a stream of it on my channel.
Yep, you played the whole game, right, on stream?
Yeah.
Don't let the Atlas Assassins know that you played past the point they said you weren't supposed to play.
It's fine. I stopped at the final boss. Trust me. But where do you think they dropped the ball at the end? Besides it just being like the rehash part.
Yeah, like I think for me it really is just a problem of it just feeling like the same thing. Like I said before Meti hopped in, like when you see the Ark of the Covenant and you see the fucking mementos things going into it, my heart sank because I was like, it's the same shit. Like obviously in Persona you kind of expect God Being is the final boss, but can't you at least make a new God Being? Like even if it's dumb, I'd rather have something that's dumb and kind of original than like the same thing.
It'd be hard to make something that's new and dumb, but still sticking with Persona 5's aesthetics.
I mean, harkening back to Royals did that great, where they had a human come in and kind of be the surrogate, and even when he got his big fuck off giant, and that was like the, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? It kept escalating from there, but it ended with two dudes just fucking hitting each other until one of them stopped.
Yeah, it felt a lot more human, because it was like, it never really felt like, oh, I'm fighting Adam Cadmon. It always feels like you're fighting Maruki.
Yeah, and I think that was great because it didn't feel like Yaltabeth 2, where we keep calling it Yaltabeth 2, even though they chose to call it Demiurge, because that's all it was. Yaltabeth 2, Siri TM.
I like how they got Siri's voice to be Siri. Very cool move.
It really hammered home that phones were bad, especially
They're so
when
bad.
everyone
I see my phone right here. I just want to throw that thing because what if the Demiurge comes out of it?
Yeah, and the Demiurge tells me to go straight forward and play Pokemon Go.
You're right. Phone bad.
Take that, Ichinose.
No, don't tell her to do that.
But no, I can see where, like, as soon as it started feeling like it's just Persona 5 again, that can be a little bit like your heart sinks and you're waiting for Goro to walk on screen and go, I wasn't dead the whole time.
Oh, dude, if he showed up, that would have been fucking great. At that point, I wouldn't have cared at all. I would have been like, yeah, good. Where's Shido, also?
I would pay to have boss fights against Goro and Shido in the Persona 5 Strikers engine.
If they're nearly as good as Kamen Rider Man, his name is, yeah. If they're nearly as good as him, then absolutely.
They just give us a fight against Armstrong. I don't want to fight any of the other bosses in Persona 5 in that engine, though, because those all sound miserable. Fighting Kamoshida sounds miserable. Fighting Madarame sounds miserable. Fighting Kaneshiro sounds awful.
Kaneshiro riding on the Piggytron might be kind of fun.
Man, I realized, like, you can make a correlation between the visual design of Alice and Kamoshida's Shadow. You can make they're fat correlation between the worst boss in Persona 5 ever and Kaneshiro. I think I said Kaneshiro earlier. I meant Kamoshida. But like dragon paintings.
Hey, there were paintings on his dragon wings.
I guess, yeah, you are right there. And it technically was just a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, it's Persona 5 Strikers story is definitely something that's going to be hit or miss for a lot of people. But if you like the cast of Persona 5, you're probably going to like the character interactions you get from Persona 5 Strikers. You're going to probably also like Zenkichi because everyone loves Zenkichi.
Zenkichi was fantastic and one of the best aspects of that game.
Everyone loves Zenkichi. He is great. I can't believe they stole a character from Scruffy Turtles. I hope Scruffy likes Zenkichi.
I hope Atlas sees the love of Zenkichi because, man, it's okay to have adults sometimes.
But man, effing adults, they're politicians, they're cops.
We're gonna treat Zenkichi like shit until the very end of the game.
At least it like dies down and it starts off like fuck you, Zenkichi, and it's like, okay, boomer.
I do, and it's completely reasonable. The Phantom Thieves have no reason to trust a policeman.
Especially one who admits that he's part of public security who gave them trouble.
The last time they trusted someone within the police.
The scene where Futaba Fortnite danced in front of Zenkichi, calling him a boomer, was very weird.
Excuse me while I floss real quick. But yeah, Zenkichi was great. It was also nice to see from the perspective of Sai Nijima.
How? I can't believe they did not just import Sai's model. So yeah, Persona 5 Strikers, what would you rate it? Would you recommend it?
I would say I do definitely recommend it to people that, like, if you just like the Persona 5 cast, then yeah, fucking get it. Like, you'll enjoy their interactions and shit. And if you like the idea of just, like, Persona 5 action game, then yeah, get it. Because that's literally just what it is.
If you want, I feel I'd go a step beyond. If you want to, like, support the idea of more Megami Tensei action games, get it. Because if I saw like the next Raito game developed by Koei Tecmo and it played like this, I'd be all over that. Day one pre-order.
And I say that if you're going into it for the story, you can enjoy it with a group of friends, or you'll like the Persona 5 cast if you like Persona 5 characters. But I definitely recommend playing it with at least a friend, because there are some very lonely moments where that game can be grating.